Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. What's happening? My name's Jade. This is the opening hour, and today is our creator interview day, and we have a very special guest by the name of Gregory O'Sullivan. Oh, yeah. So kick back with us for the next, I don't know, about 2 hours' time. We're going to listen to some music. We're going to get to find out who Greg is. And right about now, we're going to kick off with a song of his called Shang Ling. Let's do it. Dang-a-lang-a-lang-long. Welcome to the show. I hope you're all doing good. You're all doing good out there. Yeah, good to see lots of people in the chat. It is Friday morning here in Australia, and yes, I have a fellow Aussie on the show. There's audible video giving me a good skull right there. It's a Friday morning, and we've got a fellow Aussie on the show, which makes me always feel better because I have to make them get up at the ludicrous time of 8 a.m. to do this show. So it's not only me. But let's get into it. So I'll do hellos as usual. We'll do the name calling and all that stuff at about 30 minutes in kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? It's the done deal around here. But, so, let's bring in our guest and get this show on the rock and roll, because speaking of rock and roll, and we got Rock and Ronnie Ward coming up after this, back doing his show playing your music, and thanks, Thomas, for putting that. Welcome, our Wart Warriors. There's some cool emojis down in the chat. If you didn't know, there's a new emoji down there, actually. So we got 2 emojis for our guest today, and we actually have a new emoji for Pookie. Pookie's got her own emoji now. There you go. So make sure you play around with those emojis. Fiddle around with them if you are a Wart Warrior. They are there for you to play around with. Hello, Pamela. I'm just going to divert here. Son of Snake's mum. Hello. I love it when the mums join. All right, let's get down to it. So today's very special guest is somebody who has been a supporter of this channel since as long as I can remember. He's there without fail. He's a really, really nice person, and he makes a bunch of really cool music, and we're going to find out more about him today, finally, because he's a bit elusive, this dude. I remember the first time I kind of saw him was on one of Thomas's Patreon streams, and he just jumped on camera and was like, oh, there's the Greg O'Sullivan. And that's who our guest is today, Gregory O'Sullivan. So let's bring him on without further ado, and let me get some applause happening. Yeah, listen to those. Gregory O'Sullivan.
Good morning, Jade. Nice to be here.
Good morning. Finally. I was saying to you, I feel really bad that it's taken this long to have you on because, as I said, you've been somebody who feels like you've been here since day one on this ridiculous channel. How the hell did you find me on this, in amongst all of this weird shit on YouTube?
Oh, well, via Pete Johns, really. Isn't that how everyone gets started?
The gateway drug. Pete Johns is the gateway drug. And how did you find Pete?
Well, at the time, I just started using Cubasis on my old iPad, and Pete did a series of shows on Cubasis just around that time. So I jumped on to have a look at those. I
remember those. They were very short-lived, weren't they?
Yeah.
In and out shows by Pete. Here's Cubasis. Anyway, back to GarageBand, back to my safety blanket. Let's get into it and let's just go for it. Greg O'Sullivan, what does music mean to you?
What does music mean to me? Well, basically, I think music is memories. It sort of can take you back to the past and fond memories and places you've been, and it's sort of find music is very nostalgic for me, basically.
Do you have any specific good or really bad moments in your life where music has, like, let's go for one of each. Do you have something really good memory of music, and is there some really bad time in your life where music has just pulled you out of a hole? No, making you think at 8 a.m.
It's making me think. I suppose I'd say I've had a pretty calm and comfortable life, so I can't really think of any really dreadful times that I've had that I would have needed music to help me with. But it reminds me of a lot of good times in the past. And, those drunken RMIT student union nights watching Hunters and Collectors back in the 80s.
Oh, dear.
Fun times.
So is that where you went to school? Did you do RMIT, or was it just that's where you drank?
I studied computer science at RMIT.
Excellent.
Back in the 80s, early 80s.
I think I've been to a few of those nights. I think most Aussies, especially in Melbourne, have been to a few of those. And, yeah, they're pretty fucking wild. They don't do those anymore. I don't think. I don't think we're at a stage where people are like. Are people like that? Do you think these days they still go to like gigs like that, or are the? I'm guessing all those venues are just full of poker machines now.
Oh, Story Hall's still there, but I don't know whether they still hold gigs there or not.
I think they use it for the comedy festival these days.
Ah, yeah, that'd be right.
Yeah, they. I think with the Melbourne Comedy Festival, they just try and find any building that they can throw a comedian in, just all over Melbourne. They just dump them all over, and you got to travel everywhere. All right. Well, let's talk about growing up. Let's get to that. Do you recall the music that was played in your household by the family when you were growing up?
To a certain extent, yes. My mum and dad sort of had slightly different musical tastes. Dad was into jazz, so we're hearing a lot of Dave Brubeck and that sort of stuff. And mum would have been playing stuff like Peter, Paul, and Mary. And I remember sort of diving through mum's old record collection from when she was a teen. She had a lot of old 45s, and she had stuff like the Everly Brothers and Elvis and that sort of stuff.
You laugh. Were you not into
Wow.
those?
Oh, I like the Everly Brothers. They were pretty cool.
Elvis didn't float your boat.
No, not big on Elvis.
Why? Why? I'm interested to know because Elvis is regarded as the man that puts a bit of a spark in most people's pants. I've never heard it called that before, but whatever. We'll just go with it. Is there something about Elvis that puts you off? Was it his pelvic thrusts?
Well, at the time, I just didn't think he was very good. And then later, yeah, Fat Elvis was a real turn off. So
It's funny, because I remember growing up with Elvis in the house. Mum listened to Elvis, and I remember this distinctly as a kid that I hadn't seen him, and when I heard his voice, I just pictured this big fat guy, this big overweight guy. Should be PC, big overweight guy. And he wasn't like that. And then I saw how they used to play Elvis shows on commercial TV in the afternoons on Saturday on Channel 7 or whatever. And I saw him, I was like, oh, geez, he's a bit of a hunk. And then just the irony was he turned out to be that guy that I originally imagined at the end. And it all made sense.
Dad was the real musical one in the family. He grew up in Liverpool, England, which is sort of a contemporary of the Beatles, should we say. I think he was a few years ahead of them in school. I think he might have actually, they were definitely living in a similar sort of area, Paul and John and my dad, but, he was a couple of years older than them. But he was into jazz, not skiffle, and he used to play trumpet in a jazz band when he was a teen.
So did that influence your love of music?
Well, he wasn't. Was no longer playing the trumpet when I was on the scene, but he did actually have a vibraphone at one stage. The old ding 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 ding
Yeah, right.
sort of thing. And I remember for a while he had a nice semi-acoustic electric guitar that he was learning to play, but he never really continued on with it.
So, have any of these artists that were played in your household, have they influenced the music you make now and the music you cover and all that stuff?
Not really. I suppose that the main influence on my music is the stuff I listened to in the 80s, basically.
It's a weird period, the 80s. Let's pivot onto the 80s. I remember when it was all happening. And I was like, this music's shit. Nobody's going to remember this. It's all electronic crap. It's not music. Because I was a metalhead, and I'm like, this isn't music. Interestingly enough, even me, I pine back for the 80s.
Well, depending on the type of music, 80s music you're talking about, but music back then was actually more complex than the crap we're listening to on pop tunes these days. They actually use some more complex chords and interesting progressions and stuff. It may have been all electronic and quite poppy, but there was a certain musicality to it that a lot of contemporary music lacks.
Yeah, I agree. There was a real buzz around music, I think, then too, because this was technology that had been coming up through the Moog and all this stuff in the 70s, and these huge complex synthesizers, and all of a sudden you had things like this with all these sounds in it, and maybe not this exactly, but yeah. And there was a real buzz of excitement because people had this new world open up of sounds. And people, like people do, we exploit shit. And they did. And even this too, Greg. Back then, we had Boy George and Marilyn, and we had all these like guys that look more like girls. And these days, if you go out the house dressed like a girl, people want to kill you. What happened? Why were we more accepting in the 80s, do you think? Drugs?
Because the conservatives have always been trying to wind back any progress we make, and they're winning.
Yes, that is right. The magical rewind button. the Stairmaster in reverse. Yes, well, women should be back in the kitchen and barefoot. What am I talking about? That was a joke. What was...
It's interesting you say about the technology in the 80s. I think that's a good point, that all this stuff was just brand new then. Digital recording was just coming in the later 80s. And so you had a lot of talented musicians making the best use of emerging technology. Whereas these days, you've got a lot of mediocre musicians using the technology as a crutch, like me.
I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, I do agree that people seem to be using technology to fix things now instead of push boundaries, push limits, and test people. Have we become what's the word I'm looking for? I was saying it yesterday over and over in Clubhouse. Have we become complacent about the technology? Are we a bunch of spoil sports?
Complacent. Don't know. I think it's taken for granted to some extent.
That's probably what I meant more. Yeah. Because I see it all the time with apps, and there's so many things that come out that you go, wow, I can't believe we have this, and it's like it's $10, and there's people fully going, $10, $10. I'm writing to my congressman, $10. And it's like, that real thing actually costs like $700. And it just seems, I don't know, the technology, people just they expect everything to happen. I don't know, do people just expect that the technology is going to make the music for them these days? Is that where we're heading? Is that why AI is doing so well? Because I want to talk a lot about AI today, because you are a proponent of AI. And where do you think, are we heading in the right direction with music? That's what I want to ask you. What do you think, watching from the outside, seeing these shows, seeing communities and where pop and music is going? Is music going in the right direction, or do we need a reset?
Oh, I think some things are traveling in a really bad direction. You notice that they're sort of on the point of replacing actors with sort of virtual copies of themselves, and they're being forced to into contracts where they sort of sign away the rights to their appearance, and the studios can sort of use people again without paying them. So I think things are sort of moving in a very dark direction with the technology in some respects.
Yeah, look, that stuff's really creepy. I like the idea that they can bring actors back from the dead, but if they're doing it while people are alive, I don't want to see it unless it's Bruce Willis. Oh, God.
Well, we had a bit of CGI Carrie Fisher, didn't we, in the Star Wars films?
Yeah, and interestingly enough, people got upset. people got really upset and said, "Oh, but it wasn't perfect." It's like, what do you expect? What do you want the story told, or do you want it to kind of look good enough? I wasn't offended by it when I saw. I remember seeing that and I was super excited. I went, "It looks close enough." Like,
Yep, I was cool with that.
yeah, yeah. I'm okay with.
That's an example of a good use of the technology.
Yeah, and they didn't overdo it. You know, they didn't give a huge dialogue or anything like that. It suited the brief. There she was. She got the plans. We move on. Done. I don't know how we're going to go with creating a whole movie around somebody. Whoever's going to have the balls to do that, that's going to be a different story.
Whereas personally, I'm all in favour of the technology because it lets me do things that I couldn't do with the meager musical talent that I have otherwise.
Well, you know, this is the thing. There's a lot of people that are, you know, there's a huge debate going on about AI, and I see it all the time. It's very controversial. People think that let's just go on it now, or you know, we'll come back to it. We'll finish this little question I have here. We'll play a song and then we'll come back. We'll focus on AI for a bit because it is something you use a lot. I'm doing lots of shows on it, and I have to admit, the shows I do on it get the most views out of everything on my channel. So there's that. What was the first album, Greg, that you bought with your own pocket money and that somebody gave you as a gift?
Okay, well, that's pretty easy. I bought the Fleetwood Mac self-titled album was my first purchase. That was the one before Rumours.
Yep. Now, you're obviously a fan of Fleetwood Mac because you've done covers. Yes. What is it about Fleetwood Mac that you love?
Oh, well, it's just sort of their background's a bit bluesy from back in the old days and blues rock. Yeah, I just sort of like it. And of course, I love Christine McVie and Stevie Nicks' vocals. I always love female vocalists.
And they're pretty hot too. I can't pass that. What about the first one that is that what you bought? You said that was what you bought?
That was what I bought. Fleetwood Mac. I did a bit of digging around the other day. I think only one piece of music has ever been bought for me. And it's not very noteworthy, and I think I only listened to it once, but I think it's this Gondwana Land, Wide Skies. I don't know if we can...
What is that?
Get it on the...
What is that?
Yes, what is that? My parents thought I'd like it.
What kind of music is it? You don't know, do you?
I can't remember.
What's it called? Gondwana.
I think the band is Gondwana Land, and the album is Wide Skies.
I got to look this up. Gondwana Land. Land. It sounds indigenous.
I think they're Australian.
Yeah, it definitely sounds. It's good. What? Gondwana Land and the present day. Some 200 million years ago, Antarctica was joined to South America, Africa, and India and Australia in a single large continent called Gondwana Land.
That's the one.
There was no ice sheet, and trees and large animals flourished. I don't have it on the screen here. There you go. This is the National Science Foundation. Wow. So... yeah, so here we go. Australian band. Let's bring this up here. Gondwana Land. Wikipedia's for sale. Here we go. Gondwana Land. Originally billed as the Gondwana Land Project, where an Australian ambient musical ensemble which combined the indigenous Australian instrument of the didgeridoo and Western instruments such as synthesizer and guitar. 1981, formed by Peter Carolan on the synth. And what do they do? How many releases did they have? Look at this. Look at him going for it over here. Look at that. Looks like he's having a bong, actually. Doesn't it? Actually, that doesn't look like a didgeridoo. So, discography. Oh, well, they got a few albums out. So you didn't like it?
Well, I mustn't have liked it that much because I never listened to it again.
But you've still got it, Greg.
Sorry, Mum and Dad.
Uh, Listen to it once and you've still got it sitting there. When it had to dig through it. So there you go, folks. Go and check out Gone Wonderland. Absolutely not worth your time. Go grab it now. Check it out, and you'll have a terrible time. Recommended by Greg. All right. Let's play a song, and then we'll come back and we'll start talking about a little bit of AI and stuff. I'm going to grab a song from random here, and then we'll come back. We'll say hello to you all as well. So I'll see you all in the chat. And I see there's almost 30 of you here, so thank you for being here. I'm going to play this song. It's a collab. You want to tell us about this? This is you and Empirism. Tell us a little bit about this.
Oh, this one. Good. Well, I got onto Empirism because I did a collab with Weltenkinder, and Weltenkinder got Empirism in to do the guitars on it. And apparently Emp had been a bit of a fan of my vocal synth stuff, so he approached me after that and said, hey, here's a track I've got. Want to put some vocals and synth vocals on it? And I said, okay, I'll try. Because, you know, I'm really the world's most experienced songwriter, as you can tell. And so I gave it a shot, and Emp seemed to like what I did. And he sent me the stems, and I did a full mix of it and sent it back to him. And I said, you know, here's the vocals. What do you want to do with them? And he said, oh, I like the way you've mixed it. You seem to be a bit more savvy on production than I am, so he let me mix and master it, and we put it out, and I think it worked okay. So there you go. That was my first songwriting with someone else experience.
Awesome. Let's do it. Empirism, Gregory O'Sullivan, Fly to the Future. You ready? Let's go rock and roll. Boom.
shell is not pure. I guess we'll just have to leave you behind. Entropy is coming for you. All the world you knew will be swept away.
I think you two are a really good match. Really good match. Are you a bit? Do you get it when you see Emperism's setup? Do you get a little bit jealous?
Yes, he's got a lot of gear, doesn't he?
It is like a space station, isn't it? I look at that and think, God, I'm overwhelmed in my little spaceship here. I can't imagine having that that many synths in front of me. My brain would explode.
Half of my gear is in the storeroom because I just don't have the room to have it all out and about like that.
Right.
I'm sort of stuck in a little corner of the living room on Helen's indulgence.
Right. Well, somebody left a comment. Let's do the hellos. Let's get all this stuff out of the way first. So let's say hello to you all here. Thanks for being here today. If you want me to call your name out, type a something in the chat so you know the deal. So I don't have to do the scrolling. Let's Oj. Barry Glenn's here. Hello, Sunshine. Hello, Joe Glenn. Hello, Pookie with a new emoji. Son of Snake. Blue Unicorn, what's going on? SM Borthwick. We got a Thomas of Christ here. We got, why am I doing silly accents today? I have no idea. Ali Strong, Andy, what's happening? We got the Semtex Cow. We got, of course,
My Dark Lord.
DOA. Who else? Brad Examples here. Axiom's here. We got, let's see, I've scrolled up a bit to see if I can find. Try and use my memory. Who else do I see? Oh, let's scroll back down to the bottom. Who else has given me some stuff to work with? Frank Terzo. Hello, Frank. We got Dennis is here. Hello to you, Dennis. Did I see Kim Hutton Hudson? Hello. Son of Snake. Russ8889 says hello, Gregory. Les Nagy's here. Gortium. Boom. Tremor Bear. Hello to Tremor Bear. Pete Johns is here. Michael Thompson. Man, you got a big turnout. 36 people in the house here to see Gregory O'Sullivan, the man. Have I missed anyone? If I've missed you, I do apologise. I try and get through to see as many as I can. I'll keep an eye out to see if I've missed anyone. Valerie Butt, there's Valerie with some bats. Boom, boom, boom. Wolfstone Studio, there's Ron. We got, dude, there's a lot of people who think you're awesome. Did you expect that? Look at your face. Oh man, you rock, Greg. All right, let's because there was a comment here, and it's going to go into our next section, which is about AI. I'm going to jump ahead and then go back a little bit because I can. It's my show, do whatever I want. DOA wrote, these vocals are really cool. And this is where we get into talking a little bit about AI because you use AI vocals. How did you fall into this? And what do you use? I want to know all about it.
Okay, go back to the beginning then.
Yes.
I wanted to do a cover of Animotion's Obsession song, which has male and female vocals on it, and I can't sing like a girl. So I thought, there must be some technological solution to this. I sort of been vaguely aware of that Yamaha's Vocaloid software, but I had a bit of a look into that, and they've got thousands of Japanese and Korean and Chinese voices, and wasn't the sort of sound I was looking for.
Well, that's where it started with, I think, these AI voices. That's where it really kicked off.
Yeah. Strictly speaking, it's not AI, it's just vocal synthesis.
Yep.
I'll get onto the AI bit of it in a second.
Sure.
But so I looked at that. It was expensive, and all the voices sounded, it was all a bit Japanese anime fetishist.
Oh, that sounds good to me, though. Hubba, hubba.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, but it just wasn't the sort of thing I was looking for. And with the early versions of Vocaloid, people spent an inordinate amount of time hand tuning the pitches to make them sound realistically human. And it was a very laborious thing to use as well. So I started looking around for something else, and I found a Japanese site that had a free one where you could upload music XML files with just a melody line and lyrics, and it would spit you back a WAV file of their voice singing it, which is, they had a few sample voices you can use. It's not a commercial thing. I think it's a university site, and the actual software they use is open source. And that was, I think the site's called Sinsy, SINSY.jp. I think it's still there and going.
I'm looking for it, yeah.
And one of the voices was Zhang Ling, was the title of the voice bank. So I thought, righto, we'll give this a listen. And I did the Anymotion thing and laboriously made a music XML file and back and forth uploading different changes on back and forth. So eventually I got that's the one.
Wow.
They've got an English version of the page, which is a bit easier to understand.
Oh, yeah. There it is, English. There we go. I'm like, do you speak Japanese as well? Wow, look how complicated it looks.
Yeah, you should try constructing a workable XML file that it likes. That sounds okay when it spits something out. It's really hard. So I did the Anymotion female lyrics with that, and I put that together and put out that cover. And with the effects I had on it and so forth, it sort of sounded more like someone with a slight Russian accent singing.
Right.
But, it was cool. It sort of worked. I said, oh, there's some potential in this stuff. And then I came across Synthesizer V, which is a sort of Vocaloid competitor. And the distinguishing thing with them is that instead of having to manually tune all the pitches, it had a neural network model trained by the actual singer they'd taken the voice samples from to sort of vaguely replicate their singing style. So it would take its best guess at where the singer would be taking a breath, when they were going to be pitching up or pitching down, where the vibrato would be and how strong it would be and so forth. So without doing too much work, it can sound quite natural. And the AI aspect of it is really just a neural network trained by the actual singer. And the other thing about this is that the singer that built this voice bank was compensated for their time to create the voice bank. So, you're not ripping anyone off by sort of sampling their voice and using it.
Well, that's it. That's where we've gone from. The technology jump ahead from something like this, and now we're in the stage where no legislation yet. So I see a lot of people getting upset about AI. I think it's fantastic. I think if used correctly, then it can be a tool to add to your arsenal. Of course, you can say this about anything. I don't know if you agree with this. Somebody can take a beat, right, in GarageBand and take that drum beat and upload it as a song through DistroKid and then put copyright claim on it. So that's abusing that as well. People can abuse any kind of tool.
Yeah.
And AI is just another one of them that can be abused.
People will try anything on, basically,
to make $1. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't imagine being that person sitting there taking a beat and uploading it, paying for DistroKid, putting it up there, and then anybody who uses that beat or similar gets a claim. It's ridiculous, but there's people doing it because people will do anything for $1 to survive. And yeah.
So with Synthesizer V, there are a lot of voice banks done by Dreamtonics themselves, which are the people behind it, but they've opened up to third-party developers to do voice banks for the product. And the one I use predominantly is called Solaria, which is the voice donor for that is Emma Rowley, who is a sort of pretty fabulous artist in her own right. So if you have a look at some of her stuff, she's got some fantastic songs out. I think she's sung on Broadway and so forth, so she's quite a singer of renown. So I think that voice bank is head and shoulders above any of the other ones that have been produced for the product.
And is it a complicated, I'm guessing this one here. It looks like, just looking at the imagery here, it looks like something like Melodyne. So you drag the file in. Is that how it is? And then you can mess with it from there?
Okay, well, you can just point and click on the piano roll to enter notes
Right.
if you want to do it that way, or you can import a MIDI file if you've got that. What I normally do is we'll get onto that when we talk about apps later, perhaps. But
Sure.
I normally have a MIDI file and some lyrics on hand, and that's just a simple data entry job. But then there's a lot of subtle little editing you can do with it, as far as manually tweaking the vibratos here and there, and there's basically a whole lot of automation tracks where you can control various parameters with automation, and you can force breaths in if you want the singer to take a breath in a particular spot. And so it's basically a lot of it's a quite mechanical and straightforward process to get something basic up, but you do a little bit of fine tuning on it to make it sound more natural, or express it the way you want it expressed through controller automation.
I love the irony of that, what you just said. So we live in this world where there are people who make music and record vocals, and then they sit there and go through their vocal takes and remove all their breaths. And here's an AI that's giving you the option to put the breaths in to make it sound more real. Yet humans are removing their breaths to make themselves sound like they're not real. Everything's upside down.
Exactly. I would say Solaria sounds a whole lot better than a heavily tuned human singer does.
Yeah. And, a lot of, whether people like it or not, a lot of music these days is got vocal tuning on it. And you wouldn't be able to tell a lot of it because, well, there's stuff out there like Cher, of course, where she just whacks it on, like that You Believe song. Well, that's over the top, and T-Pain and all that. But the subtlety of using that kind of software and is to use it at a very minimal amount. Yeah. But there's a whole lot of artists out there who use it, but people don't even realize. So we're already like AIing our own voices to a degree by messing with it. So is this far that much different? I don't know. Do you think these AIs are going to take over the world, Greg?
No, because none of them are actually intelligent yet. I think AI is a bit of a misnomer. It's really so machine learning is a better term for what we've got now.
Yeah. I'm glad Apple have taken on that term because no one else is. And AI you associate with Terminator. That's where the fear has come from. And I don't know if people realize this, but movies, I'm just going to let you know, aren't fucking real. All right? Just a quick reminder, movies aren't real.
Yes, the AI can, at the moment, can give the illusion of being intelligent, but it ain't.
Yeah, they're just pretty much, it's just a really fast data shuffling. It's just hyper fast calculations. That's pretty much all it is. It's just on a level that's super fast, and But I can't see it. The world. I do understand that people are scared about artists and such losing work, but this has been the world. We went through the Industrial Revolution. And everybody thought the sky was falling then, that there would be no jobs. The robot machines are going to take over. This is nothing new. There's going to be, we are adaptive creatures. And I think we will adapt to this thing. We're too much of a virus, humans, I think, to let something like this overrun us.
Well, until it's intelligent, it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Probably more likely scenario is evil people using advanced machine learning tools will take over the world.
That is exactly the point. I think what people really should be afraid of, I think in relation to AI, the one thing that really, and it's not to do with creativity, the one thing people should be afraid of is the deep fake cloning of people in power, presidents, prime ministers, people in government, and using this to create propaganda. I think that's the real fear. I think the creative side of it's not really, people lose jobs all the time and technology shifts. That's always been a thing. But the way we're going as a species, where people seem to believe anything that's presented to them, that's the concern. That's the real concern, I think.
Yes.
Look at Facebook. People believe anything on Facebook. I could go on there right now and say some bullshit, and it just gets spread. And people don't pay attention.
It's a bit of a worry, the rise of all this misinformation and how readily it's believed.
Yeah. Blue Unicorn says, the one thing people should fear is tigers. Tigers are not... Yes. Fear the tigers. All right, folks. How has the AI changed for you? So are you still using that software that we're looking at, or have you dabbled into all these other upstarts? Because now it seems like every company has a new AI model for a subscription of some ridiculous amount. Are you using any of those as well?
I briefly used the one that you were using because I won a free month's trial of it on your Patreon show. Right. And rather than changing my voice to someone else's or doing those sort of standard things with it, I thought I'd make a model of my voice so I could make my AI, my other synth software, sound like me.
And how did that go? Did it work?
It seemed to work quite okay. I have a cover of silly love songs that I did using that technique. It probably wasn't perfect because I used a female singer and transferred that into my voice, which is probably not the thing to do. But I don't actually have any of the male synth V voices because I didn't really like any of the ones they have at the moment. But if I'd used a male vocal like their Kevin voice bank or something and translated it to me, it probably would have worked quite well. Has the advantage that I'll be singing roughly in time and on pitch for a change.
Is this stuff expensive? Is that one that you use? Is it a subscription? Is it something that you own?
It's an outright purchase.
Right.
There is a free version of it that has a few less capabilities, but they charge you for the voice banks. They've got some demo voice banks, but you're not allowed to use them for commercial purposes. I don't know how they'd stop you, but in theory, if you released a song using their demo software with the demo voice bank, they'd take some action against you if they found out about it. But I can't remember the exact price. I think it was a couple of $100 for the software, the pro level software, and the voice banks are sort of I'm talking Australian dollars here.
Yeah.
They're cheaper for our American and European friends.
Take off about a quarter.
And the voice banks are about $100 each, Australian, right. Something like that.
Because the price of AI is high at the moment. I mean, you're looking for a lot of these AI apps, you're looking at a month, well, Australian. Some of them are up to like $50 Australian to 20. Some of them start at $9 a month, but you don't get a lot of features. There's some kind of watermark or some kind of thing that you can't use. Yeah. Do you think that price is going to drop? It feels like it's like the housing boom. There's going to be a bust soon. There's going to be too many of them, and it's going to change.
Well, I suppose with synthesizer V is that all the processing happens locally, so you need a reasonably fast machine to run it on. But that's good because they don't have any servers behind this that you have to pay for, so it's just a one-off cost to purchase the voice banks and the software. It's the way I usually like to do things. I'm not a huge subscription fan. I don't have a real problem with the subscriptions, but I think the only issue with subscriptions is that for software like DAWs and other things that you're using all the time, is that once you stop paying, you don't have it anymore. I think it's better to buy it and pay for the occasional update and still have it when you stop paying.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. with subscriptions and such and paying outright. I think I said this in one of Pete's live streams the other day. It's fascinating because, like, the subscription model's shit, and they all build up over time. Before you know it, you've got like $300 of subscriptions in a month, all just coming out at different times. But they don't seem to be the apps that go under. It's the paid ones that disappear and stop working. So it's such a tough area to navigate through.
Well, think about this. You're paying a subscription for Logic on the iPad, right? That's so you'll get updates and so on and so forth. But how many updates have you had so far from them?
For Logic Pro?
You're paying for something in advance that you may never receive.
Yeah, it's been a bit disappointing, the Logic Pro for iPad. We all thought, it's a subscription. I'm not complaining. I like it. I'm much happier with that than GarageBand. But, I would have expected an update by now. What are we, nearly 4 months?
I'm sure you'll get something eventually.
It's Apple. They're just like, you get what you're given. Relax. Shut the fuck up. All right. So
I generally like to work on my iPad, but I do have Cubase on my gaming laptop because I had a decent laptop for games, and it was good enough to do some music on as well. So I thought I'd give that a whirl. And I kind of like their model where it's an expensive piece of software, but they give you good support. And when there's some feature updates, you buy a new version at a discount, basically. So there's always an upgrade from one version to the next. So when they've got something to give you, you pay for it rather than paying them in advance for something that might never happen.
Yeah. All right. Now I saw somebody writing earlier in the thing, where's the ad? The ad's coming. We're going to do it right now, actually, because we're not sponsored by DistroKid here. So what I do now on the channel these days is tell you when we're going to insert an ad. If you don't want to see ads, buy YouTube Premium in your country. I'm going to run the ad now. Boom. Ad has been run. I think it ran. Looks like it ran. Yep, there it goes. Ad's inserted. We'll just wait for people to get back because I'm going to play another song right now. And we are going to play while we're waiting for those who are seeing the ad and they've just skipped it and they've come back. If you have, welcome back. I've got to make a note of when I ran it. Cool. And some people, yes, Cold Acre, some people get them, some people don't. It's the way it rolls. But I have to run it because that's how I get paid. So we're going to play Electron Flow. You want to tell us a little bit about this track?
Oh, well, so most of the songs I've written these days have been about AI, and this one's sort of about an AI that gets in some dude's car and messes with him.
Hang on, in what way? In what way?
Oh, he's driving a Tesla and it's downloaded itself into his car and it takes him on a runaway drive.
Down a path of murder.
Yes, basically. There's a car crash at the end.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about AI in cars. And I'm all for electronic vehicles. I think that's the way to go. I think we need to start acting on that stuff. But I don't know about AI taking control of the wheel.
Oh, those Teslas are chock full of AI. So
yeah,
or
and
so-called AI.
yeah. Well, if Elon's behind it, I don't think it's going to be too smart. Anyway, let's play Electron Flow. You ready, guys? We'll see you back here shortly. Boom.
I might not dance to your satisfaction and drink 20 years and all that, but now I'm in your CASIO just to mess with you.
Oops. Boom. The car crash at the end. I remember, I can't, how it was, that wasn't the first one that you did with AI, was it?
No.
I saw Pete Johns is here, and hello Jamie and people I've missed, Independent Manny, Robbie Stingle, a whole bunch of people, and Manny, people have joined since. I remember the first time Pete played one of your songs that had AI in it. I know everybody was just jumping out of their skin, going, "What is this madness?" What I think, like, has this made you more confident in making music, having this to, because I saw you, right? Now, people couldn't see that during that song. You were sitting there off camera mouthing every goddamn word of that song.
Oops.
No, but I think I thought it was really endearing that, you know, here's somebody who you say you can't sing, or like you don't sing good enough for what you want to do. But there you are mouthing along to this AI singer that is projecting what you want to sing and creating these notes. It's got to be empowering to a degree.
Yes, I fess up. I'm a frustrated singer. I'd like to sing and be able to sing, but I'm not very good. So yeah, I'm a long-time SingStar player.
Are you good at SingStar?
Not really.
Not really. But can you play the recorder? Did you learn the recorder at school?
Oh, the
Segue.
No, I did not learn the recorder at school, but I do own a tin whistle.
And you've got that there.
Oh, not within reach, in the storeroom.
So no recorder at school, but what about when you're at school? Because like here in Australia, music's normally a pretty big part of school. When you, I remember doing music from a very young age through primary school. Was that something that was in your education?
I don't remember much apart from singing and clapping.
Singing and clapping.
In primary school.
What about into high school?
Oh, I remember some bored female young teachers yabbering on about Indonesian gamelan orchestras or something.
You weren't paying attention? What was the thing that, because you are heavily
in high school, they never really offered us an opportunity to get hands-on with instruments. It was all sort of, music theory or some bullshit,
Right.
I don't think I touched an instrument during high school in music class ever. There you go.
I asked that question just for that response. No, it's because it's interesting, because I think before, because you went to school here in Victoria, in Australia.
No, I'm originally from New South Wales, Wollongong.
Right. And what was the education standard there? It was not VCE. It was, I can't remember. What was it there?
We moved to Victoria.
HSC? No.
Yeah, we moved to Victoria when I was in year 11 in high school. So I did my HSC down here.
Right. And back when it was HSC, they didn't actually really have a good music education thing. So I understand that now, because when
you didn't have to do music for year 11 or 12. No.
And I remember, it changed here in Victoria when I was doing it, because we were a test. When I was in year 10, we were a test school for VCE. And so we did the first year as a test before they introduced it into the whole of Victoria. And then in year 11 for me, they brought in VCE, and music was mandatory. And it was wicked. It was the best music course I've ever been a part of.
No, school music programs, totally lame. Didn't do anything useful at all.
Wow. So have you played in any bands? Were you at a younger time? Did you jam with people and do any of that?
No, I've never played in a band. I did jam with my friend Alistair, who subsequently became my brother-in-law. Then we did mess about with our synthesizers a bit, thinking we were going to be the next Vince Clarke or Thomas Dolby.
But never happened.
Nothing happened. I did produce this joke CD of some of our jam sessions. We recorded them on cassette tape, and I burnt them onto a CD one time. Here we go. We've got a copy here.
Oh my God, awesome.
Can we get this in shot properly?
Well, look at that.
Greg and Alistair's greatest hits.
Do you have only one copy of that?
I've got 2 copies of it.
I was going to say, I want one.
Alistair's got a copy. I think I could arrange to give you my spare copy,
Oh,
Jade,
really?
if you really want it.
I'll swap you for one of my Dread Circus CDs.
I think I'm getting the better of the deal there somehow.
No. I love collecting shit like this. I reckon it's cool. Have you thought about putting that on Bandcamp?
Oh, it's honestly not of merchantable quality, Jade. It's complete trash.
Bullshit.
No, I mean serious trash.
Serious trash. You talk so highly of yourself, Gregory. I love it. And so, what was your thing at school? Because IT seems to be. Is this what you're focused on?
I was the home computer geek in school. The high school in New South Wales had a TRS-80 Model 1 computer, and I was up there every lunchtime coding or typing in programs.
You nerd. What was your first computer?
A Dick Smith System 80.
Dick Smith. Man, Dick Smith, eh? Where's that dude gone? I don't know.
He's still around.
He is somewhere still around. So computers are your thing. So you are a super geek. And you got into IT. So is that's what your pursuit was for your life, for career?
Yes, that was my career. Spent a lifetime in IT drudgery.
Yeah. And you're retired now?
I am retired now. I've been retired for a while, actually. I was made redundant from my job at University of Melbourne about 10 years ago, and I sort of looked around and said, no one's going to pay me as much as they were paying me for doing the same amount of work, and I sort of managed to organize things so I didn't have to work anymore.
Cold Acre says, I miss Dick Smith's peanut butter.
Sounds a bit dubious, Cold Acre.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting about people who work in IT. I think I know quite a few of them, and a lot of them retire early. Is that because they're super smart and they know how to manage their money and they're able to fuck off really early?
Well, in my case, it was the University of Melbourne was foolish enough to pay me huge sums of money to go. So,
to go. Get the fuck out of here. Take some money.
Redundancy was pretty generous. And
yep.
I used to live in Ashwood in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne. And I owned my house by then already, so I could sell it for a reasonable whack and moved out here to Bacchus Marsh, and the housing was a lot cheaper. So, on the proceeds of the house sale and the redundancy package, I could sort of retire without even touching me super, which is not quite accessible yet. Next year, I'm old enough to actually get my super.
I forgot you're in Bacchus Marsh. Now, my family, so I grew up a lot of my life in Bacchus Marsh. From my teens, we moved out to Bacchus Marsh, and boy, was that a culture shock. So for those of you who don't know, Bacchus Marsh is this wonderful place out west. For the drive into Bacchus Marsh is absolutely beautiful through all the apple orchards. And you just go on this beautiful winding road through all these amazing trees. It is one of the most spectacular drives into a town I've ever been to. And then you go past the abattoir, and my house used to be close to the abattoir there. So at 4 a.m, I used to remember waking up to the sounds of the slaughtering going on. It was pretty shit. It was shit, man. I hated that. But how has Bacchus Marsh changed? Because I remember when I lived there were more pubs on every corner, and it was quite small. By the time I left, they built a McDonald's there and a Kentucky Fried Chicken. I was like the big news in Bacchus Marsh.
The township itself is pretty much unchanged, but there's a bit of urban sprawl. I live just across the other side of the freeway from the town in a suburb called Darley.
I know Darley very well. Used to score drugs there.
Well, Well, yeah, the street I'm on is full of ex-housing commission houses, so it was a rather rough area at one time, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, when I was younger, I remember it being rough, and I lived around right near a church there on called the Manor. So that's as you drive into town. So it's a huge church. Right behind the hotel, the motel. I don't know if it's still there, but Bacchus Marsh is a beautiful place, thoroughbred country. So is that what I think that's what it was called, or is that Melton? I can't remember. Melton, I hear, is sprawled. Anyway, all these people are listening, going, "We don't care about this shit," but I care about it, and that's all that matters. Do you like living out in Bacchus Marsh? Is it peaceful and nice and?
Yes, it's nice and quiet. Part of the reason I moved out here was 10 years ago when we moved, I was still into the gliding scene. So there's Bacchus Marsh Aerodrome is the home of 3 gliding clubs. So that's where I used to fly out of. And it's sort of sure beat driving from Melbourne all the time when I wanted to fly.
Well, let's talk about that, because you are a glider pilot, and I find that extremely exciting. How long have you been doing that for?
Since 2002, I think. Yeah, that's when I started.
And what's the process to go through and get a license? Do you have to do simulations or anything and all that kind of stuff? How rigorous is it before you can get a license?
Well, funnily enough, there is no glider pilot license in Australia. In most countries, there is a qualification required. It's all run by the Gliding Federation of Australia, and
Right.
they've got some legislative delegations in the aviation legislation that allow them to control certain aspects of the gliding sport. So they decided they wanted to have their own process for certifying pilots and not have an official government license for it. So what we have is a glider pilot certificate issued by the Gliding Federation of Australia. So it causes Australian pilots a lot of troubles when they want to go overseas and fly gliders, because they where's your Australian license? Oh, we don't have one.
What the hell? That seems so weird.
Oh no, it is a bit strange, but that's it.
But
Anyway.
could you fly a commercial plane? No.
No, I cannot fly a powered aircraft. I can only fly a glider.
Have you had any hair-raising situations where you were scared for your fucking life doing that?
Oh, a few moments of anxiety when I flew into this thermal that was so super strong, it just tipped the glider inverted.
What the?
And I couldn't control it anymore. No.
Holy shit, man! That's insane.
Fortunately, I was at a safe altitude and it could recover the situation. But so when the atmosphere slaps you around so hard, your controls aren't working. It gets a bit anxious. Yes.
Yeah, I find it very fascinating because, obviously most of us have flown, and when you're up there, all the tropospheres and all the spheres that are above us before we get to outer space, there's some pretty crazy shit that happens up there,
Oh, yeah. Well, when you get that clear air turbulence that slaps around your airliner in flight and you got your seatbelt on and hoping your head's not going to go through the roof.
Yeah, I could only imagine it in a glider.
Glider pilots seek that shit out so that it can get some lift.
So do you class yourself as you'd have to be an adrenaline junkie to do something like that?
Well, on days when the weather's nice and everything's fine, it's a sort of serene, soaring experience, just like you're a bird. But if the atmosphere is a bit angry, yes, it can be a bit of a adrenaline ride.
And are you still doing this now? Is this?
No, I've stopped fairly recently. It's just I'm getting on a bit and don't think I'm quite as sharp as I was, and get a lot of sun exposure in the glider. So I've had a few skin cancers taken off. I said,
Wow, see, I wouldn't even think about that. Yeah, but you are like face into the sun. I
Yep.
asked you this off air, but I want to do it on air because I think it's fascinating. If you were on a plane and the pilot said, the air hostess said, the pilot's had a heart attack. Is there anyone on the plane who can fly the plane? Would you put your hand up?
Yes, if there was no one better qualified, it's better than dying, isn't it? Have a go.
Give it a go.
Well, I've actually flown a 737 commercial flight simulator and landed it successfully. So if it was a 737, I might have a chance.
Was that on your Dick Smith computer?
No, this is a full.
Oh, really?
full-
So you've done the
full
full simulator?
commercial sim.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
There's a mob in Melbourne that sort of offer joy flights in the simulator effectively. So you can. My parents bought me that for one of my birthdays, so I went in and had to go on the sim. You get to do the the approach into the old Hong Kong airfield, sort of down between the skyscrapers. They take you through that for a bit of a thrill. So,
Thomas says, I'll have a go. Not words you want to hear from the pilot. But you know what? That's a very Australian thing to say. I'll have a go, mate. Do you think you would land it okay? Do you think the plane would be intact?
I think I could get it down in one piece. Probably wouldn't be pretty, but I think we could survive.
Wild. Robbie Stingle says, reminds me of Airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think there's a blow-up sex doll that pops up as the the second pilot. I don't think that's...
Well, Thomas, would you rather have no one at the controls or me at the controls in that situation?
Yeah, Thomas. I'd rather have Gregory. I'd rather have Gregory than an AI. I don't know if an AI... Do you think that's where they're going to go? Maybe they'll end up having an AI that can do it. I mean, I was watching a documentary the other day on AI. The majority of the train network in Australia that not passengers, of course, but that carries iron ore and stuff is all fully AI automated here in Australia, all throughout the Nullarbor and all that stuff now. That's all fully AI. And we're the first country to have implemented that. Do you think planes will head down that path?
Well, they already can. Most commercial airliners have got auto land systems. They can land. Yeah. They can. I don't think they're allowed to use it in anger, except in emergency situations. But yeah, they have auto land systems. They can do it without the pilot if necessary.
It's fascinating stuff. A plane can do that, and I think it's super fascinating that you are a glider pilot and that you're a psycho adrenaline junkie. From now on, since this interview, you are just going to be known as a complete and utter wild man, Gregory.
Oh, sorry.
Deal with it. Let me have a look at. Should we play a song? What have I got left? I got two songs left. Yeah, we'll play a song now, and then we'll just talk for the rest of most of it. So I'm going to play Faulty Kiss. You want to give us a little bit of a hoo-ha about this?
Oh, well, it's sort of a series of 3 songs starting with Zhang Ling. It's sort of the premise that an AI vocalist becomes sentient. And in this one, she's been downloaded into an android body and trying to impress the guy that was feeding her songs from the first song. So, he's not too receptive to her advances. So,
damn, he rejects the AI. Oh, well, they don't have feelings. All right, let's do it. This is Faulty Kiss. We'll see you back here shortly, my friends. Boom. Wicked stuff. That, let me get my space back here. So that was Faulty Kiss. Now I've been putting the little banners up there. So all of Gregory's links are down there. So he's got music on Spotify and Apple Music and all that jazz. So make sure you do that and hit him up for a subscription. Okie doke. Now let's talk about some synths, because you told me you are a Casio keyboard enthusiast. So, and you got a whole room full of stuff.
Oh, I wouldn't say I've got a room full of stuff, but I've got a bit of stuff. The synthesizer story starts with I managed to, when I was at RMIT, I managed to badger my dad into buying the family a Roland Juno 6 synthesizer. Wow. Yeah, because he liked to play keys a bit. So we got that. Prior to that, we'd had a actual old pedal-powered reed organ that some old lady had donated to us, which I used to, that was where I got my start on the keyboards, pedaling the old organ.
Is that an Australian standard that we all end up in our houses, some second-hand organ that we found on the street? My family was exactly the same. And my first song I learnt was, "Oh, Can You Wash Your Father's Shirt?" So you obviously gravitated to the keys. What was it about the keys that excite you?
Oh, we had an organ, and Dad had some old music books. There was some sort of piano tutor that I sort of worked my way through. It just had some basic exercises and stuff, and play merrily, we roll along, or some nonsense. So yeah.
And that led you down a path of collecting. What kind of keyboards? So you know, is it Casio? Is it specific? Since then, is it Casio that you're in love with?
Yes, I with my first paycheck, virtually, I bought myself a Casio CZ1000 synthesizer, and I haven't looked back. I don't have a lot of Casio home keyboards, but anytime they release a sort of professional synthesizer, I'm tempted to buy another one. Unfortunately, they haven't released anything that would class as a synthesizer in recent years. The last thing I've got is the XWP1, which harks from about 2012. I didn't acquire that until recently. During the pandemic, actually, at the start of the pandemic, I got the XWP1 because it was on sort of run out special new old stock sort of thing. And I only paid $600 for it, which I think was a bargain.
It's interesting. Since I've been doing this show and I've known you, I always feel a little bit stupid when cause, I mean, you've been around my channel for a long time. I know nothing about synths. It's only because of doing this show that I've slowly started to understand how they work, oscillators, all this stuff, and filters. I knew nothing before I started this. And many times I'd sit there trying to do a tutorial and I'd think, I feel like such a goof. And I could just imagine you sitting there going, what are you doing, Jade? Was that the case?
No, not at all.
It's a thing. Like for somebody coming from, you know, as I said, we talked about it earlier in the 80s, synths were everywhere. And I was one of those people, those metalheads who were like, fucking fake music, not getting into that stuff. And now it's the main instrument I play more than my guitar.
If we rewind for a bit,
Sure.
when you asked about music played in the house, Dad actually played a copy of Wendy Carlos, Switched on Bach. That was the thing that really got me interested in synthesizers. So
you've got all these synths. How many do you think you've kind of got in this little space? And you said before it's because of space. Is that why they're not out there?
I've only got one keyboard and two rack mounts out of storage at the moment. I've sort of got three other keyboards in the storeroom. I don't have a huge amount of gear, really, but it's all pretty much all Casio.
Right. So you're definitely an addict with CASIO.
An enthusiast.
An enthusiast, sorry. That's what I'm going to start calling my friends who are addicted to drugs. And it's a drug enthusiast. That sounds much better. So, with collecting things, I'm just going to run through some of the things you tell me in your bio. You say you're an eco warrior and you're into electric cars. So, what is an eco warrior, Greg?
Oh, that's a slight exaggeration. I'm just taking personal action to mitigate climate change, shall we say. I've got, the solar panels on the house and the battery on the house, and the house is all electric, heat and cooled just with a heat pump air conditioner thing, heat pump hot water service. So, we're not pulling any power from the grid except a little bit during winter, basically.
Does that save you money?
Does indeed.
See, this is the misconception. What do you think? What do you think about people who think that climate change is a load of nonsense? That's loaded.
Can I be rude?
Absolutely.
They're fuckwits.
Absolutely. You can say whatever the fuck you want. I agree.
Climate change deniers are complete fuckwits.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Agree 100%, and I think they should be sent to Mars. It's a one-way trip, and they can go and enjoy the pleasures of Mars, in my opinion. Clearly, things are changing, man. Especially we live here in Australia, and this country is a very arid, harsh country. And from growing up here in Australia, when it's summer, it's fucking summer here. You know, because you burn and you can't breathe and it's stifling. And man, every year things just seem to be getting more weird. Like, we're in spring now and we're getting some really crazy, bizarre storms, and some summers have just not been hot at all. And the bushfires. I don't care what anybody says. When you live in such an arid place like Australia, you really see the difference of what's going on. And
a lot of people get confused of the difference between climate and weather. The weather's always changing.
Of course.
We're talking about trends here, and the trends are getting worse.
Yeah, they definitely are changing. And, there's other things too, like people are not aware of, like the whole magnetic fields are moving. They're slowly traversing across the planet. Do you think if we have a polar shift that the whole world's going to go crazy and everything's going to turn upside down? That people are going to die?
Wow. Well, it's possible for the Earth's magnetic field to flip. It has happened in the past.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be good.
I, for one, am excited for the flip. I welcome it. I think we need a flip. I think it's a time for change, and I think we need to get rid of some excess baggage, and I'm willing to sacrifice myself to get rid of some of the others. I don't really care. I think it's going to be fun. Things are a little bit boring at the moment, so why not? Let's have a polar. Let's have a flip. Who's up for a flip in the chat? Yeah, leave a 1. I'm all for it. Electric cars. Do you own an electric car?
I do indeed. I've owned a small electric car for a decade now.
Oh, what kind of electric car is it?
It's a Mitsubishi iMiev.
And
don't ask me to spell that. Well, I probably have to spell it.
How do you I can't recall seeing like electric power stations here in Australia. Are there enough?
I just charge my car at home. I've never charged it. Well, I've been to other people's places and charged it while I'm there, but
you freeloader.
Exactly. It's very cheap to operate when you're using everyone else's power.
There you go, folks. Gregory O'Sullivan, the man who just turns up at your house randomly and says, "Hey, how you going? I just thought I'd stop in for a cup of tea. And can I use your PowerPoint, please?" So how far does I don't know enough about. I don't even drive anymore. How far can you drive on a charge in your Mitsubishi?
My little iMiev will is good for about 120 kilometers.
Right.
So, I could drive into Melbourne and I might not make it back.
Is that exciting? Is that a bit of a thrill to know you could not make it home? What am I talking about? Is it the replacement for being a glider pilot?
Oh, no, not really. You just plan your trips accordingly.
Yep.
I typically just use it. I have another electric car now as well as that one. I've got one with greater range. It's not a Tesla. Elon Musk is a dickhead.
I agree wholeheartedly.
But I've got a Hyundai Ioniq 28 kilowatt hour battery model, which is good for about 240k, so I can go to town and back comfortably.
Not living by the seat of your pants.
I only got caught short once in the IMEV. It's due to atmospheric conditions because wind affects all cars. If you're driving in a strong headwind, you'll get less fuel economy in a petrol car or diesel car as well. It's just your fuel tank so big you don't really notice. Say, oh, I used a bit more fuel this week, but it's no big deal. But when you're range constrained, it sort of matters. So I unfortunately had to go to a funeral in Altona, and the distance there and back was just about 100k or something, and it should have been fine. But there was a sort of 60 kilometre an hour headwind on the way out, and in the afternoon, the wind changed round to westerly nicely to blow in her face on the way back. So I just ran a bit short and had to pull into the Geelong Gliding Club at Bacchus Marsh and charge up to make sure I got that last 10 kilometres home.
Hi, everybody. I just need your power supply.
Yeah, just come in for a quick charge. Don't mind me.
That's wicked.
But that's the only time I've had a problem. I take the wind into account if I'm driving the IMEV any long distance nowadays. Actually, I only use that for driving up and down to the shops these days. It's much easier to park than the Ioniq because it's so small. So, yeah, the Ioniq, no problem. 240k range, comfortable. I can go to my parents and back, into town and back. I don't need to go anywhere else. Works for me.
So, I mean, you mentioned Elon Musk there. He's the creator of the Tesla, and it's all apparently there's a truck coming and stuff. Would you trust Elon Musk? I'm doing it. Elon Musk to put some neural lacing on your brain?
No way.
Do you think that's going to take off? Do you think it's going to become a reality?
Oh, at some point in the future, yeah, I'm sure that sort of tech will be used. I think the things they're looking at it for, people with missing limbs and stuff, and having a prosthesis that they control from their brain, yeah, it'll happen.
Yeah, I think that's I think this is where people blow things out of proportion, like much with AI and stuff. And everybody thinks that this technology is we're all just going to be lining up to get it put on our brain, and then we're going to plug into Netflix or some shit like that. But I think the overall research seems to be for people with, stuff that the Alzheimer's, for things that they can kind of control and fix and hopefully give people a better life. I hope so. I don't want to live in a world where we're all plugged into this thing 24 hours a day. It's hard. It's bad enough with mobile phones that everybody's connected to mobile phones. At least you can put down a mobile phone. I don't want to have a thing inserted into my fucking head. Yeah.
Well, there's plenty of dangers with that tech for sure.
Yeah, there absolutely is. And I don't even think that Elon Musk is going to be the one who gets it done. I mean, this is a guy who took a company that had been branded for 40 years, brand recognition everywhere you go. News outlets use Twitter, the bird, the Twitter, tweets, and within several months just totally takes a brand name and just destroys it for some fantasy. And it's dumb. But, yeah.
He seems to have gotten a lot worse. He didn't seem quite so dumb initially. But
Yeah.
maybe he's got some brain damage from a couple of COVID infections or something.
Yeah, it is weird how he has gone from this, I don't know.
I never thought he was a nice guy, but he's really run off the rails these days.
Yeah, it just seems like everything he posts is like to start shit and or to shit post or like everything's based around memes. It's like, but dude, you used to seem more intelligent. Yeah, something's gone wrong. Something's gone wrong.
Or he's been doing too many strange drugs.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, DMT's not bad. I don't know. I don't think he's done DMT. I think I'm thinking of the other dude, but that was funny watching him smoke pot. Anyway, we're getting off the point. So finding this YouTube community, how has it been like being a part of a community and being able to put out music and you know, is this help towards like being a musician, feeling like at least a musician, and what's this kind of community mean to you being involved in it?
It's been a great sort of social outlet, especially during the COVID, because, you know, weren't going out much or doing anything. So it was nice to be in touch with some people.
Yeah, and so when the inconvenience hit, you're obviously in Victoria with me. We were locked down the longest of probably anywhere in the world. What was it, 8 months we got locked down for with a gap in between? How did you cope?
Well, being retired already, it really wasn't any particular strain. I mean, sure, there's a few friends I couldn't go and visit for a while, but, you know, I sort of live a fairly secluded life anyway, so it was no drama to me, really.
A lot of people seem to really use it to create music and find their voice and do the things that they wanted to do. I mean, I look at it like for me too. Like I was in a place where I don't know, I felt really lost, and to me, I looked at it like a reset when it happened, and it gave me a chance to take a breath. But I've seen people complain about that and go, I don't want, it's the great reset. It's going to be like everything's going to be changed after it. And nothing's changed. We're still stupid.
Yeah, well, I hadn't done any sort of messing around with music for quite a while, as far as actually writing anything or doing a cover or anything, till the inconvenience, because I bought myself that new Casio XWP1 keyboard as a sort of treat. You know, everything's shit. I may as well add to my keyboard collection that I don't use. I wasn't that optimistic that I'd actually do anything with it. But the thing was, it had a spot on the top of it to place an iPad, which is how everything started out. Because my missus had an iPad, and I said, "Oh, I can stick this iPad on and run some software on it and store and load patches on the synth." And oh, look, Steinberg's got this DAW that'll run on the iPad. Let's give that a try. And it all just sort of snowballed from there. I've done more music recently than I have for the rest of my life, really.
Yeah. Are you predominantly, do you make music on a Mac or PC, or is it more on iOS?
Well, when I was doing stuff back in the 80s, I had a Atari ST, and the Casio synth was how I sort of was doing stuff. So I've never really been into doing stuff on the PC. Yeah, it's just I just got started again on the iPad, really, basically.
It's interesting with the iPad. We were in Clubhouse yesterday talking about the expectations people have with technology these days. And it's like everybody expects the iPad to be a PC or do exactly the same things just because it's getting as powerful. But there are trade-offs with it. I mean, it's a piece of glass in your hand. Do you think it's ever going to get to the point that it is exactly the same, or is it going to be like it is a kind of companion? Oh, I don't know. It's different.
Yeah, well, what differentiates an iPad from a laptop? It's the touch screen, basically, and it's all designed around the touch interface. So, which is handy for a lot of things in music, like mixing a song on the iPad when you've got a whole load of touch sliders on the screen is a lot easier than sort of grabbing your mouse and scrolling sliders up and down on the screen on the PC. It's kind of a bit more intuitive and a lot more faster, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I think most people know my story in 2000, late 2010 kind of thing. I got iOS devices and was like, I don't think I can go back to a computer. I don't want to go back to a computer. I don't want to hold a mouse and do all that stuff. I like this touch. I like being able to move around and take it with me. And that really excites me. But then you look a few years on, and here I am with it attached to a keyboard with a mouse. So here we are, square one. Are you an avid collector of apps?
I have acquired a large number of apps. Yes.
Do you have some kind
But
of control?
I try not to collect. I won't buy something unless I think I've got a use for it, that I can a clearly defined use for it. But there's a lot of things I've got a use for.
Yeah, I collect them only because I get sent them. So I sit here with an iPad full of apps that most of them I don't use, because there's only so many. I find that I always go back to the same set of 20 apps that I continuously use, even though I have like 800 on my iPad, which I feel incredibly bad about. Let's talk about some of the apps that you use frequent. Let me grab up the iTunes store here. You want to rattle off a few apps that you use that help you make music the most?
Okay, I think the app I use the most would be Steinberg's Dorico for iPad.
What's that? Do I even
What's
have?
that? Yes, I'm surprised. I'm surprised more people don't use it, quite frankly.
How do you spell
because
it? Oh, there it is. Compose music. Is that it? Dorico.
that's the one.
I don't even own it.
'Cause
What is this thing?
they've got a free version you can try out, which has restrictions, of course.
Yeah, and what the hell does it do?
Well, it's primarily a music notation piece of software. So, when I'm writing stuff, I jot it down in that, and it can export it as MIDI, and it has it's very comprehensive.
And is it expensive? That's the next question.
It's mega expensive for the unlock.
$199 Australian.
I bought my unlock when it was on sale.
So what's that? It's probably about 159, 169 US, I'm guessing. Brain quickly
I
converting.
can't remember exactly, but yeah.
Probably.
They also have a subscription if you want to do it that way.
Right, here we go. Yeah. So they've got a subscription. So monthly, $5.49. This is Australian. That's pretty cheap though, because that's probably only what, $3.49 or something US for a month. That's pretty fair.
The trial version has a restriction. You can only do a piece of music with 2 parts. But if you register with Steinberg, they'll let you do 4 parts and still no charge. So that's quite usable. If you get the free version unlocked, it's still quite usable and can do a lot of stuff.
So it's what, has it got a whole bunch of sounds built into it and stuff to generate MIDI, I'm guessing?
Yeah, it uses the Cubase sound engine.
Oh, wow. That's wicked. Well, thanks for pointing that out.
It's a very, very powerful piece of software. My primary use for it is when I'm doing a cover, a lot of the times all I can get is, guitar tabs for the song or something. And you can enter the music in guitar tab format, and then it'll export it as MIDI for you. Because, I don't speak fluent guitar tab, so it's a useful translating device for me.
Nice. What else do you got on the menu that I should look up and tell everybody about?
Another one of my favorites, of course, is the CASIO CZ app.
God, I don't think I have this either. What can I say it here? Casio. We'll just do a search. I should be able to find it. Classic pad. Is it still available?
I believe so.
Oh, there it is. It's just called CZ. There we go.
CZ app for iPad.
And this is what, a direct copy of the actual keyboard?
It's a direct copy of the CZ101, but now with velocity sensitivity, a few inbuilt effects, and it can do 4 CZ101s at the same time.
Right. That's pretty cool. AUV3?
No, it's audio. It's only audio. It's only inter-app audio.
Right.
I doubt they'll ever update it, but it is what it is. It's a proper CZ emulation. Sounds really good.
Yeah, this is the problem too with a lot of these older apps is that people just think developers can just go in and just make it AUV3 like this. And the problem is, as you're somebody, you know, who's worked in IT and understands a bit of language there, if you build something with old language, you just can't sandwich in this new tech. It's not as easy as that.
Oh, you know, I think we talked about that with the guy that does Loopy Pro. He said, you know, it's not just an easy thing, drop in a new API and off you go. It basically requires an entire rewrite to get it going as a
and people don't
AUV3. So
it's a trap. It's a double-edged sword because this is I feel bad for developers because they want to like add the new AUV3 tech to it and make it work so everyone's happy. But at the same time, that's going to take a real lot of work, and then everybody wants it for free. And then you can't win. So if you do it for free, it's got problems because it's so hard to shoehorn it in, or you just release a new version of it with AUV3, charge everybody again, and then you get the whole, but I've already paid for it. It's like...
And inter-app audio is not so bad.
No.
It gets a bad rap mainly because there's it doesn't play nice with GarageBand. You know, using inter-app with Cubasis, you can do a lot of things that you can't do with GarageBand. You know, like I can drive a inter-app audio app with MIDI from Cubasis and record it, so no problems. And you can't, because GarageBand won't let you sort of send MIDI out in that fashion. It doesn't work nicely for GarageBand users.
Yeah. Let's grab one more app, and then we got to do our final questions because I've got Ronnie Ward breathing down my neck. I've just seen him message me and go, I'm all good to go.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I told you it goes fast. I told you, man. So what's one more app?
Okay. We'll go one non-music related app.
Sure.
Just for a bit of variety. File Explorer Pro, FE Pro, or FE File Explorer, whatever it's called.
Let's try that. File, there it is. File Explorer. What do you love about this? $7.99. I don't have any of these.
Well, I suppose if you've got audio share, it will do a lot of things this does, but this is just a basic file manager thing. But I like it because I can set up secure shell communications between my iPad and my Raspberry Pis and my Windows laptop, and I can just sort of drag and drop files between the iPad and the Windows and the Raspberry Pi willy-nilly. Quite convenient.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it looks like it's got FTP support. Yeah. Wow, it's got a lot of good stuff in it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very handy.
Yeah. Well, I have some homework to do and probably some future shows with some apps coming up. Awesome. All right, I'm going to hit you with the final two questions that I smash everybody with. The new one. If you're on a desert island and you didn't have a soccer ball, what would be the one album that you'd want with you to keep you company?
One album. I think I'd take New Order, Substance.
For what reason?
I just remember when I had my first job at Victoria College, second job, strictly speaking. I won't talk about the first job. My future bro-in-laws used to after work, we used to have that cranking on the stereo, having a few drinks, relaxing. Yeah, good times.
Good memories, and that's what we like to know. And that is music. And a final question. If you were giving advice to somebody just starting out making music, when will be the best time for them to start?
Start before you were born.
I knew you'd have something smart ass to say. Do it in the womb. You got that, folks? So if somebody out there's got a partner that's pregnant right now, get them on it right now. Get them in the womb. Get it happening. A womb with a view. Do it. Greg, I want to thank you for coming on the show and telling us a little bit about who you are. I find, I kind of hear you say, I'm not that good. You kind of put yourself down a bit. I think you've led a very fascinating life. I think you're very, very interesting. And the as people saw from the cover here, you do represent that image right there of a total wild man. So thank you for coming on and sharing your music and being such a vocal part of this community as well. I thank you for being a part of my channel for such a long time and your support. So thank you so much, folks. The links are in the description. Go check out his music. Go send him a subscription if you haven't already. Go over to Apple Music and Spotify and go grab some of his music as well. Anything you want to say to everybody in the chat before we get the fuck out of here?
I'll just say thanks, Jade. It's been a blast.
No problem at all. Thank you so much for coming on. Hold on to the end so I can say goodbye to you off the air. We're going to go out today with your brand new track called Denia. You want to tell us how this thing came apart?
Denia, you've been shopping for too much Manchester recently, Jade.
How do I say it?
It's Denia.
Is it?
That's
why am I saying Denia? Denier.
Denia is the thread count in cotton goods.
Dude, I've been shopping for fucking linen lately.
Exactly.
There you go, folks. That you've seen behind the scenes of my life. I'm a linen addict. Fuck me. So it's not about linen? Damn.
No, Jay.
I really thought I'd met a like-minded person. Denier. So tell us about Denier.
Oh well, I just thought I'd try my hand at another EDM sort of song. I thought maybe I want to try and say something this time. Let's have a rant about climate change. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. And the thread counts of climate change. Fuck, I'm never going to live that fucking down. Jesus fucking Christ. All right, so this was it. Was this your Songtember song for this year?
It was indeed.
Awesome stuff. Let's go play this song so I can fuck off and go count some thread. Thank you so much, Greg, for coming, hanging out. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, you all rock. Just to be a total asshole, and I have to do this because I've forgotten about it. I'm just going to absolutely 100% right now just run a quick ad. There you go, because I've got to put 2 in per hour. Ads run. We'll wait for people to get back. That's what you get for me thinking this song's called Denia. So there was our second ad. I'll remember that right at the end of the show to put my ad in for the replay. You may have got the ad or you may not. If you want to avoid the ads, you can get YouTube Premium. Boom. Let's go out and play this song. Hopefully everybody's back. They've skipped the ad and they're back. And Ron Ward is up next and I'll dump you over there in just a moment. Thanks, Gregory. This is Denier, a.k.a. Denia. Bye.
You think you've got time to live, but it's really all over. You think it'll be a quick fix. That's what your masters told you. Haha, I just want to live. You won't change. Haha, I still fight or flight. You won't change. Down into the raging fire. You climb a denier. Down into the fire. Down into the fire. You fucking denier. You think you're able to swim, but it's flooding all over. You think it's all a big hoax. That's what your masters told you. Haha, I just want to live. You won't change. Haha, I'd still fight our plight. You won't change. Down into the raging fire. You climb a denier. Down into the fire. Down into the fire. You fucking denier. Down into the raging fire. Down into the fire. You fucking denier. Down into the raging fire. Down into the fire. You fucking denier.
We'll all rise together.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for being here. You're all a bunch of fucking deniers.
You make me shine better.
See you at Ron's.